Drama.
You are
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a podcast bringing you line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 298.
What?
So close to a couple milestones for this podcast. It is March 12th, 2025. I'm your host, Darth Moocher. I've got Scott Solo here.
What's up, nerds? That's me.
And this is it. This is the crew that's going to bring you the Star Wars information for this week. Want to give a shout out to Chris. Just some positive thoughts going his way. He's dealing with some hard times right now, so hopefully he's bounces back and gets back in the swing of things. Also want to wish Ernie good luck if you're seeing this, Ernie, because I know he watches us. I know he watches
You got this,
on
man.
the replay. Ernie is going for hopefully a promotion. So he's in the mirror studying his lines to get that that pay raise he deserves. So it's us and the pit and you guys, of course. But before we get into it, because we got some stuff to get into and some very cool Star Wars talk, like the woulda, coulda, shoulda, right?
Yeah.
And how it's So if you've seen our thumbnail, you kind of know where we're gonna go with this. But before we get into it, I'm gonna kick it over to Scott, because our Shadow Council, who has always been there, along with our pit, they all need they need their spotlight. So take it away.
You got it. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here, especially these fine folks right here. That's our Shadow Council, our Patreon crew. AJ from the Forbidden Panel, Brandon and Anya Epler, Brian C., Cliff, Commander Bly, Commander Cook, so many commanders, my God, Captain Crystal E., Commodore Don the Dad Dorn, Sergeant Eric Grubb. Let's see, what should we do here? Ensign Gavin Connor from the Holy Hour All Cure podcast. Now, he's more of a general, I think. Obi-Sean Kenobi, who just because he's a Kenobi immediately gets the general title. Let's see, we've got Justin, the Vanilla Thunder Esquire. I don't know. Now I'm just making things up. Senor Mervine Bolanos, Matt the always logical Matt Logic. Muftek is back. Nicholas Schaefer. I've just completely run out of titles.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to do it every week, so you might as well just.
So, and Ryan with the Star Joe's podcast. So if you want to join our Patreon crew, type in patreon.com/Sarlacc Digest podcast or scan that QR code right there and donate a couple of bucks. We really appreciate it. But don't do it on Apple Podcasts, on the Apple Patreon app. Apple are jerks, and they're going to take 30% of that money from us. So don't do it there. But we would have really appreciated if you did. Or you can always drop a super chat. Pay for your last off, which we have a last off going tonight. We'll get into that in just a second too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Before we get to the pit, I'm going to stick up for my man, Commander Bly. I was the witness. He was the first one to make a comment. Hal Runner, I think Hal Runner was the second one. But I mean, that was my eyewitness, but I defer to you. I defer to you. You're the one that's going to read it, so go for it.
All I'm seeing is Hal Runner base as with an LOL. I don't know what happened, but we've also got Stu John Jedi in there. We've got our man Gordon, our target runner. Gordon stays on target. He actually goes there and finds toys for us. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Then there's Commander Bly, who's making these unfounded claims. I cannot confirm nor deny that. I didn't know such thing, you bastard. We got Basil G. What's up, Basil? We've got Don the Dad Dorn, especially all powerful Scott. Great. This is going to become a thing now.
Yeah.
We've got the mighty Rhino Hobbies. And we've got the always indomitable Santo 1414. That's right. I'm throwing out big words tonight. We've got Gavin Connor with his sandwich right there. What's up, Gavin Connor? It's good to see you, buddy. Glad you're here.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that image.
I don't know, but it was Gavin's birthday the other day. So everybody wish Gavin a
happy birthday.
He's like 25 all over again. I love it. He stays young. It's great. It's what listening to The Cure and reporting on him does.
There you
Keeps
go.
you young. I'm still scrolling. I'm looking for more people. I'm talking. Oh, here we go. Nope, I did Hal Runner base already. Man. Troy Dodson. What's up, Troy Dodson? What's up? How's it going, man? Good to see you. We got Rick Jones. Good Lord, there's so many messages. You guys are insane tonight. Dr. Brantley's here.
Yeah.
Good grief. So, yeah.
We've got a great super chat from Commander Bly. Remember his first? Remember, Scott? Do you remember?
Yeah, I seem to recall the first. Yeah. I mean, he was there. I don't know what happened. I think Ernie came in and deleted something. I don't know. That's why Ernie's on restriction tonight. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Commander Bly, for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, guys. So, just a couple house cleaning things before we get into started, because I know you guys are itching to talk Star Wars. Our last off, which is something that we do for fun. If you're the last person when we go off the air tonight, that leaves a comment, any comment, the very last thing, and we're keeping a tab, you get tallied up. And we were going to send this one of 5,000 Merrick Micro Galaxy Squadron ships to you as a prize, a fun way of just integrating your guys's your chat responses, and you're just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of fun. So
it's fun because all the chat responses, it helps us. Hey, what's up?
yeah.
No one watches Artie's here. It
Hey,
helps us, and we want to.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
I
want to
haven't
help
seen
you.
no one watches Artie in a long time, so it's like I
I
just got
know.
excited. I got excited.
So our current standing for the last off, Hell Runner Base. You have, and we have to think of a tiebreaker too. So on the night of our 300th episode, when we're going to announce the winner, if it's a tie, we're going to have like an immediate trivia contest or something.
Yeah.
But Hell Runner Base, he is currently standing at 3. Gordon, he's at 1. Good luck, buddy. We've got Commander Bly also sitting at 1. Again, good luck, buddy. And we've got Stu John Jedi at 4. So it looks like Stu John Jedi and Hal Runner are going to be duking it out for the top spot.
Yeah.
We've got, we've got tonight's episode. We've got Monday night's Sarlacc Toy Chest. And then
there's some room for you to gain some grounds. We'll have to do something for the first, because it's not fair for the East Coast guys. We understand. We totally understand. But
anyway.
Yeah, but we understand. One more thing, and I know you're tired of this, but May 4th, I hope you guys are getting excited for the holiday, our Star Wars holiday. But if you are in the SoCal area, in our neck of the woods, we will be posting more information on this. But our May 4th trivia is back with At the Better Days, formerly of the Social, where we used to hold this. It is going to be live music. It's going to have specialty drinks. And of course, we will be there in full swag, doing Star Wars trivia. There's dress up is encouraged. It's going to be a great night to celebrate our holiday. If you cannot make it, I hope that you're doing something special for the holiday to celebrate Star Wars. And we're going to try to broadcast as much as we can from this. So more details to follow. Stay tuned on that. So you can screenshot this and get that in your records, man. Let's go.
Keep in mind, this is also a toy drive, right?
Yes.
So admission to this thing is going to be donating a toy. It will go to either, usually went to United Way. I believe we're going to work with Chips for Kids this year.
Yeah.
So it is happening, folks. Toy drive for a good cause. Not just me, I promise.
Right. Hey, Alexander, what is up, man? I hope you guys had I know you had a good show over there. There's some great things over there. And we will be plugging all our affiliates shortly. It's 12, 13 hours. I mean, it's on a Sunday. You start on Friday, and then we'll just have to get you home somehow. Former SoCal resident 909. Hey, well, we used to be, was our area code 909 at one time?
I don't. Maybe a long. No, we
remember.
were 714. We were actually 714 up here. That's for a while. Yeah, but
909 is San Bernardino. So
I was born in the 909. I still work in the 909. So hey,
go.
Man.
Well, awesome. All right, we're here to talk Star Wars. First off, Andor is 41 days away, so we're coming up on that under a month, anticipation, and of course, I think we might be all talked out of Andor unless anything special theories or rumors stuff. But because I'm at that point now, it's like, just bring it on, man. I'm ready to go. Yeah. I know that Celebration is happening from the 20th, and I know the people at Celebration are getting to see the first 3 episodes 2 days earlier than the rest of the world. So that's just the perks of going to Celebration. Yes. We are keeping a close eye on Celebration's schedule of events, what their panels are and everything. So far, nothing. And it's coming up, and I know it adds like maybe a week or two. They'll solidify it, and then we could see. But I think what people are getting nervous that there's no showcase intro kind of stuff announced just yet. They just have the Ahsoka, they have Andor, they have Visions, and Mando Grogu. And Mando Grogu is going to take. Okay, guys, be prepared for a media blitz for the Mandalorian Grogu movie starting in 2026, probably starting at the beginning of the year, or actually starting in Celebration, but really kicking off this whole new era of Star Wars, just like we've seen with the sequels, the prequels, special editions. I think it's the getting back into the movie theaters, and Disneyland has stepped up too. They are changing one of their rides to have a Mando Grogu, thing. I think it's going to be that Smuggler's Run, Millennium Falcon ride. They're adding a whole new segment to it. I don't know if it's permanent or if it's a seasonal thing or it's just going to be like a guessing game. I don't know how that's working just yet, but the parks are involved. Like I said, it's going to be this media. I feel it's going to be like this big push for Star Wars once again in 2026.
Yeah. I agree. Do you happen to, just kind of piggybacking on that the Smuggler's Run again? Do you believe that it's going to be like Star Tours, where it's like a flip of the coin to see what you're going to get every time you get on the ride? That to me, that keeps you guessing. It keeps every time you're on the ride, it's possibly different. I love that,
Yeah, if it is a guessing, personally, I almost want it to be a seasonal thing, like the month of May, Star Wars, or April and May, right? Like a 60-day reskin thing that Disneyland parks tend to do that, right? And
right,
just because then it's like, okay, that's purposefully, I'm going to go and ride as many as I can, and then it's going to go back to the smugglers thing. If it's a random thing, I mean, it can work too, because again, it's all tight, it's all dialed in. That's right. The great thing about motion simulators, they can do that. And then but then the crew members are gonna be like, ask, can we get the, I don't know.
Maybe, but I'm looking at it like this too, right? I've been to Disneyland so many times, and I've ridden Smuggler's Run so many times that the line now is, if you're waiting maximum an hour, and that's on a bad day, right? On a normal day, it's 30 to 45 minutes. It's a quick lineup ride. Everybody's going down to Rise of the Resistance,
right?
Waiting an hour and a half to 2 hours to get on that ride.
Yeah.
If you mix it up like this, you're going to guarantee more people on that ride regularly.
You're right. You're right about that. If it's a park decision, it's probably smarter to do it that way rather than our experience, want to go for this specific, how they reskin Space Mountain and all that stuff, right? This would be more ideal to get us to go, and then it's like, oh my god, we got it, right? It's the Mando Grogu thing. I'm more interested. Well, I'm interested in this altogether, but I'm interested in how they're going to do the facade and the whole entrance of it. Are they going to replace Hondo for a second? Because it puts because if they don't, it puts Hondo in the Mando time. I mean, we go nuts with that. So.
What they'll probably do is put Din up there, because you don't have to worry about the motion of the mouth or anything like that. You stick a helmet on him.
There you go. You don't have to.
It takes away half the problems, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
we got Mr. Coco Nuts checking in. He's so excited for this. We also have the Shadow Nose Network. The whole network is checking, which is great. Awesome. I love it.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Me. We got me.
What's up,
Meeks is up there also. So no one watches already. I'm still a little underwhelmed for the Andor season 2 release. I think it's been a long time since I got the tingles and excitements for Star Wars. Underwhelmed, huh? Yeah, I mean, the one thing I noticed about Andor, and it's probably one of my favorite visual story acting. It's just top notch. It's the lack of the mystique Star Wars, right? The lack of the lightsabers, like
Christmas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, exactly. But it's also the same. It's the political part of it, and what I am excited for it is that it's a finalized bookend. You know what I mean? It's this finalized bookend that we're going to get, and it's one and done. I don't have to anticipate it anymore. It's we could go back to it and relive it. Just like Rogue One, we can relive it and move on to something else, right? With Mando and all that stuff, the more you go, it could be convoluted. It could start getting lost within its own story writing. With Andor, it's
under
like,
the weight of its own story.
So
exactly.
I like it this way better. So I mean, I went off it a little bit, but I kind of understand the underwhelmed of it, but also I do see a lot of this is the most exciting visually, because it's about time Star Wars has an adult theme, to it, right? So,
Commander Bly, I've noticed the quiet moments in Andor are very powerful.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I think with basically the movie of the week that we're going to get for 4 weeks, right?
4 weeks, just like Sue John's saying. Yeah,
exactly. I think we're in for a more action-packed adventure here. I think it's going to be a little more stressful and a little bit more truncated than the original.
What did the actress that plays Mon Mothma, she said the first season was laying the tracks, and the second season is the juggernaut going through it. And it's like, hell. And what we've got on the trailer and the TV spot, I mean, it screams like, hold on. Because it's going to set up for Rogue One. Again, it's going to make Rogue One better. It's going to make A New Hope better. And yeah, let's see what catch up here is. No one watches already. I think that's why I'm underwhelmed, because they're closing it up where I feel there's a lot more room for story to make up this flagship show that could run like Breaking Bad over 5 seasons. Yeah, I mean, that was the original plan, and we obviously see this shift. We obviously see where Disney's going with it. They're gonna back off from Disney Plus a little bit, wrap up some maybe faster than usual, and they're gonna get back to the theater. They're gonna get back to Epic, where it's gonna have 3 months of promotion. They're gonna have popcorn buckets. They're gonna have all these things, and it's gonna be one big event, and then it's gonna live on Disney Plus. And I don't think Disney Plus is not going away. It's just that they're gonna concentrate on these epic moments rather than oh, it's on tonight. Okay, they have the diehards that will stay up for to watch it, and then they'll watch it casually, and then the Nielsen numbers, they'll have to wait and watch all these things. It's too stressful. What I mean? It becomes too stressful because sometimes there's people who will wait on it for a long time.
That's what I was about to get to is we've been saying for a long time now that Disney's biggest problem whenever it comes to Disney Plus is doing the week-to-week show, right? That people don't wait long enough. They don't have the patience anymore to go through a weekly episodic, right? They want the payoff. They want the payoff now.
Yeah.
They can't sit there and still traumatized.
I
know. That's funny. There's no longer the patience to sit there and wait for the week-to-week episode. So
this is going to be a test too, I think, doing it this way where it's like mini movies.
The four movies, right? Yeah. Because I did hear also, getting off of the rails a little bit here, that Daredevil Born Again is also not doing as well as they anticipated. And I think that's because when Daredevil first came out on Netflix, it was a binge. It was done. It was there. It was done. I bet you people are waiting. They're waiting to get all of that so they can just binge it like they used to.
I will tell you also that the binging of 25, 30 minutes or not binging, the weekly drops of just half an hour episodes sucks.
That sucks.
I hate it.
Sucks.
With something like The Penguin, which are like an hour. There were like mini movies within itself every week. Mm-hmm. That whole episode got you, and it really rattled you. You know what I mean? And when it's dropped so that's why I think Andor is going to do. It's going to rattle you, and then we're just going to be like, oh crap, let's talk, and then again for the next 4 weeks, and we'll see how it works and how it rolls. But even Gordon says like Gilroy is going to bring the magic in season 2. I think so. Like I said, there's a shot in that spotlight trailer. They had the Senate, and I mean, I'm hoping that's. Yeah, I'm hoping
we zoomed in.
Yeah,
I do like what Gilroy said this week too, is that he approached Star Wars differently than the other people did. He's taking it incredibly seriously. He's not out there to just make a party. He's out there to actually take the source material.
I love it.
And take it seriously, right?
And
I love it.
I like that a lot better because I am one of the ones in the camp where I think Star Wars. I mean, a lot of people say Star Wars for kids. Yeah, we happen to be kids when it came out, and George Lucas might have had the mindset of like, this is a Saturday morning serial, but it was a little more adult than if you go back and really watch the original trilogy. It's a little more adult than it is kid friendly.
Absolutely.
In a lot of aspects, and it's deep. It's very deep, and this is why when we grew up, we were like. We made this whole deeper connection with this. It's not a simple movie, you know what I mean? And and so things like the sequels or the prequels were a little slapsticky and a little joking, and that's where it became kids movies. Like the prequels to me are, besides episode 3. Episode 3 is dark, but there are more of a kids feel to that. So Andor really hits us home with that.
If you look at the movies that we did grow up with, I mean, even the kid movies that we grew up with still had very adult moments in them. They had very dark themes, right? I mean, hell, we watched Optimus Prime die on the movie screen, right?
Yeah.
We had things like Robotech, where a great anime where it was the first time I ever saw a cartoon character die on screen, right?
Yeah.
Earth was obliterated, essentially. We had these shows that had these deeper, darker themes that had a lot of ramifications to them, Commander Blay, some even had boobies.
That's right.
Right? I mean, it's our movies back in the 80s were not were not happy, fun kids. What was
No.
the movie? The Never-Ending Story with Atreyu and the horse, and it's like,
Legend
I mean,
with the horse.
Legend. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
man.
there's some I mean, there's a reason why Gen X grew up to be so freaking like feral,
Yeah.
is because we dealt with hardships early on in life. Yeah, like losing Optimus Prime, you know, and it was like,
Yeah.
what?
The Dark Crystal. Yeah, Gordon Skolsky, the Dark Crystal,
Great.
man.
Indiana Jones has a very scary. Yeah, I mean, again, side tangent with Indiana Jones. Me being the mega horror fan that I am, I love horror, everything. I shouldn't say it. I
No,
shouldn't
go
say
for
it.
it, man.
I closed my eyes during the heart scene. Okay, I closed when I was a kid. I closed my eye. Damn,
No.
I couldn't do it back then. But yeah,
I remember having the read along book where you get the little 45 record and you put it in, and you have the read along book and the scene where he's getting his heart torn out. I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
some awesome stuff. Man.
Same.
Yeah, we're dark.
Yeah, I mean, it's and that's why I love, like I said, when Tony Gilroy said that, you know, it's I'm doing it for, you know, energy purposes rather than pleasing purposes, you know. Yeah, right. Dr. Brantley, what's up? Yeah, Temple of Doom, my favorite today. It's my favorite Indiana Jones, hands down, and I'll fight anybody. Okay, cool. And I know Brantley, but Dr. Brantley is too. Temple of Doom is the best, and it's a prequel. It's a prequel.
Brantley, though, you can't tell at all that. Oops, I'm sorry. You can't tell at all that he's an Indiana Jones fan just by
no,
not that guy.
I met him in person. He doesn't look like that. Yeah, so yeah, it's exactly Commander Bly. Oh man, yeah, the read-alongs, Empire. So I had it as a kid.
Oh yeah,
when 3PO chirps. It's so good stuff. Yeah.
Anyway,
so another big thing that was like kind of like resurfaced, you know, and it's that again, it's what our thumbnail's about and everything. And I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but it was before George Lucas sold to Disney, before 2012, like right before it, George Lucas had developed with Rick McCallum, the famed producer of the prequels, and the yes man to George.
That's what I was going to say. The yes man,
yeah. So they were working on a TV. They were working to bring Star Wars to TV, you know. And this is not George Lucas's first attempt to do it. He tried it with, the cartoons. He tried it with the Ewok Adventures. He tried it with the holiday thing. He actually saw a bigger marketing for Star Wars than just the movies and what we got, you know.
And the only one that really stuck was the Clone Wars, right? I mean, that's the only one that was really that he really had any true success at bringing to the screen.
Yeah, and he wanted to bring the live action show called Underworld. And I know a lot of people have heard about it, you know, what it was, what it happens to, you know, I think a couple years ago, there was some test footage that leaked. And I remember I couldn't find it. And I was trying to find it again, but I'm sure it's out there. But it was very it was very cheesy, prequel-ish, you know, it was very prequel-ish, you know, and so the whole thing about Underworld was George Lucas wanted to make it in between 3 and 4. So it's the times in between 3 and 4 where we got Rebels and Kenobi and all that stuff, right? So, and it had to deal with Coruscant and the underbelly of Coruscant. The surprising thing was, so Gordon, he said, Underworld had a crazy amount of finished scripts. 60 scripts on the third rewrite, budgeted to $40 million an episode, and 2012's terms, that's a lot of money. It still is today, you know, but it's almost like what they're producing stuff today as far as budget wise. Story wise, they were very, very close. I'm wondering why he never pulled the trigger on it. You know, I know Clone Wars had been canceled at that time. I think it ran its core or something like that, and maybe it was just like he was packaging all up for Disney. You know what I mean? He was trying to think about that, like.
The deal for it was going to go to HBO, but HBO did not want to foot the $40 million per episode bill because that's a lot of bucks, man. That's a lot of money. So whenever they said we can't swing that, he just pulled it.
Yeah. And I think and I think maybe he was he was trying to shop Star Wars around at the time anyway, and maybe Disney was the one that showed more interest in it too, you know. And it's because the reason why he sold is he wanted to move on. He wanted, if there was stories to be told, he wanted to, he not die with him, and he wanted to move on. What was interesting though, I didn't know this until this Rick McCollum piece that came out. It was a oh man, what was the article that he was doing? But it came out, and he said so we now understand the setting, we've got the time, but the characters that it was supposed to follow was interesting to me. It was Han Solo, Lando, Chewie, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader as the main characters, and we're going to follow, plus some new additional side characters that we were going to follow in this Underworld and the Rise of the Empire. Basically, what we got in Bad Batch, and some of Clone Wars, and most of Rebels,
and apparently even Solo too. If we're talking about bringing Han, Chewie, and Lando into it, some of that was there.
I'm wondering, like I said, so I'm wondering how much of the Underworld scripts actually did make it into the Disney Plus shows, did make it into Rebels, or, maybe some aspects of Clone Wars with Vader, right? Because it does deal with a lot of pre-Vader stuff that maybe was going to be like flashbacks in this thing. Because why would you do Underbelly with Vader, right? Why would you do a criminal world of Vader? But I mean, Darth Maul, yes, but that was later, right?
Right.
Vader was the interesting thing to me. Like, why would we do that? Unless he was like dealing with other things, or the Empire, we're just going to see more of him,
Yeah. So I wonder if in the sale of Disney, the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney, I am assuming that these scripts also came with that sale. I mean, if they are purchasing Lucasfilm, would they I assume have these scripts there? So could they still take some of these stories and, like the guys in the pit are saying, produce them now?
Well, I think they have. Honestly, I think there's some aspects of it that I think they did use, and it probably made it into Rebels. It probably made it into Solo. You know what I mean? I in that time frame, maybe Rogue One. I don't know. The Scum and Villainy. So Boba Fett, some aspects of Kenobi, Rebel, all that time frame where we're talking about. Maybe there is some of that where they have it as archived ideas, and they pull from. We'll never know. You know what I mean? Unless Rick McCollum or George comes out and says, like, yeah, that's mine. You know what I mean? That's that.
I did that.
Yeah. So
okay, sorry. What did they?
I just want to say, why did they have to drop that Rick McCollum interview? Yeah, I mean, it has arisen a lot of talk of the would have, could have, should have. Oh my God, this could have been the Star Wars that we were robbed of, right? And
yeah,
I don't know. It's a great question. Why now? I think it was an interview he was doing for the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles that he produced, and that just came up. And the thing about him, about the 60 scripts, the 40 million, all that, it just kind of resurfaced. It wasn't a deliberate interview for this canceled TV show. Just to put that out there. But
yeah. I do also find it interesting that as part of this conversation, the name of the producer, Ronald D. Moore, came up. Now, Moore was attached to this apparently as a writer and producer, and that's the guy who remade Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
He comes from now. Don't cringe too much. He comes from the Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine era.
Yeah.
But he's also produced things that my wife loves, like Outlander and stuff like that. He's really great showrunner.
Yeah.
And the idea of having that level of storytelling introduced into Star Wars, that to me is one of the most disappointing aspects of this thing dropping, right? Because he is an incredibly talented writer.
Yeah. But Commander Blight brings up too. Rick was also saying the show was so dark, Disney would never do it. Could be, and I did hear that too. It was dark that it would it became less Star Warsy and more dark. And I'm sitting there going like, you got Han, Chewie, Lando, Boba Fett, and that would, I think my curiosity goes towards that, what that relationship was. I know they dealt with that in the Han Solo books, the Han Solo trilogy about Boba Fett and Han Solo and stuff, but what aspects of it would make it so dark? You know what I mean? you can't kill any of these characters off because this is, again, it's a prequel, right? So it's like if you
Right.
introduce a character to kill him off, are we really getting that vested into it, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because George also, he went out of his way to make it to where Han Solo didn't shoot first in cold blood whenever, his life was threatened.
Yeah.
So, that darkness isn't going to come from Han Solo, right? Or maybe Lando, but yeah, sex and violence, Rick Jones. I don't know about
It
the
could
sex part,
be.
but the violence, yeah, I don't know.
It
Kind of goes
could,
against George's credo of Star Wars being for kids.
and that's probably, there's a line where George Lucas absolutely knows where it is. You have Ula, you have Slave Leia, you got things that are borderline.
Excuse me, sir. That's Hut Slayer Leia. Hut Slayer.
I refuse. I refuse. That are very edgy to do. I think but it was proper. It was needed. I know why. I don't understand why today they can show the most grotesque, violent movies ever made and most sex movies ever made, but they can't give us a Hut Slayer Leia figure anymore. Anyway, that's no longer here or there. But I'm just saying, George Lucas had a line where he wanted to go to. Yeah. And I'm wondering where that sex and violence of his, like what he would write for that aspect. You know what I mean? He does have a good sense of humor, like even in Howard the Duck with the little condom in his pocket. You know what I mean? He does know where where it is. I don't know if it'll go too far. Being on cable, HBO, you'd have a little more leeway. And then, of course, if you get outsiders' influences into it,
because Ronald D. Moore he knows how to write sex scenes and stuff like that. He did it. He started a little bit in Battlestar, but Outlander's like loaded with it.
Yeah.
It's just where's the line, right? And if they were shopping this at HBO, it was going to be a little bit edgy.
They might have been pushing for it too, right? Because
they could have been. Yeah.
It'd be the first of its kind. But that would have changed the original trilogy because of this being a prequels of sorts.
Right. And also one thing that I read, and I wasn't thrilled with this, is that one aspect of it was they wanted to make at least a 2-episode arc where it would have brought Palpatine in and showed Palpatine as a sympathetic villain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, right
no,
there,
thank you.
you've drawn the line.
Yeah,
no, thank you. The good thing about Palpatine was he is pure evil. There is no redeeming qualities about the guy at all. All he wanted was power, right?
Yeah. A bad guy is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck proves George doesn't know where to draw the movie itself. Yeah, yeah, Leah Thompson.
Know what he meant.
Yeah, it was an 80s crush. Had her poster on all. Yeah, Howard the Duck is great.
That's Marty McFly's mom you're talking about, guys. My God.
Basil G. Clone Wars got pretty grim every so often, especially when Asajj Ventress is involved. Yeah, there are some very dark tones in Star Wars,
But you also didn't see, Asajj Ventress getting it on with a Jedi, with what's his name, Quinlan.
Not like the books. Not like the books,
right? Even in the book, it was PG-13, right?
Yeah,
the books do happen to keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
So
another reason why, honestly, they really start thinking about if this was made, even at that time, we had the prequels, we had some time, and then maybe you had this Underworld series, right? And then you had this whole thing. Well, if we are going with Han and Chewie and Boba Fett and Vader, Vader would probably be the only one who's an exception here. But all these characters were introduced into the original trilogy. And if you did a prequel of them, does that water it down? Like, does that make their appearance in the trilogy, like you said, a smaller world? Like you said, with Han, it was, you just happened to be, yes, we got the movie, but really didn't have anything to do with the overall Star Wars besides the Darth Maul twist, but that was just criminal organizations,
But it's funny, you and I were over at Chris's the other night playing Uno, and Solo was on, and I couldn't be bothered to turn around and look at it. I mean, I liked the movie, I've enjoyed the movie, but it didn't have that moment of catching, right? It just didn't. And,
it didn't. And like I said, Vader, because we saw in the prequels he was Anakin, we saw his turn, and that was the thing. There was an 18-year period where Vader was absent. All of a sudden, he just menacing Darth Vader, but the prequels had him as Anakin. So seeing more of that in his interactions with hunting Jedi and stuff, that makes more sense. So because it's the very first shot of what we get in Star Wars was Vader's entrance, so you don't really ruin that. But Han Solo's introduction to Luke, all that stuff, if you brought this into a bigger world and we got more watered down characters, then it makes that world so much smaller. You know what I mean? So I might have, so in ways of how we talk of how cool, bridging gaps and making and seeing every aspect and angle of Star Wars, overall, it just, I don't think it does justice to the Star Wars saga. Especially maybe the character, because you're fleshing out the characters and stuff, right? But there's nothing cooler about the cantina scene and Han and meeting Luke for the first time, and we're meeting Han for the first time, and Chewie, and seeing,
and he did not mess around. He wiped out Greedo.
Yeah. So if we had more of that, yes, we had the books and stuff, but again, that's different. It's even George said there's the movies are canon first, and then the books were, like I said, it was just fun stuff. But
Commander Bly's comment there at the end, do you think Disney will ever have the balls to do a Vader series? I don't think so, and I think if we did, it'd be pretty watered down.
I want to say this though, like with the Vader series, how much more do you really need of Vader, right? I mean, I will put it this way.
Yeah.
If they did a Vader series, they're going to have to take those Vader comics that came out and just adapt those and make those live action. The Day After, where the Emperor pushing him to the limits, him getting his saber, hunting down the Jedi that's on, that has the vow, breaking the crystal, gritting his saber. Those are the aspects that I think that the comics at that time, or just recently, were excellent Vader stuff that could be amazingly adapted. And it had the whole Inquisitor build up. It had that. So hiring
Boba Fett to figure out who the pilot was that destroyed the Death Star.
Yeah, finding out about Luke Skywalker, right? And that's the Vader series that they do. That Disney have the balls to do it? Yeah, probably, but they don't have the balls to take canon sources and adapt it to live action and
make it even canon.
Because they will just everything we have to be is brand new, and it's like, but that's your canon. The comic books are your canon, right? So
just want to see him cry at the end of every episode to sad Hulk music.
I agree with Rhino on this. Sorry, I agree with Rhino. Vader's a character that you need a little to get that input. Less is more in a lot of ways, like how the Emperor is absolutely perfect in the trilogy, where the mention of the Emperor in the first one, you saw the hologram in the second in Empire, and he's the main villain in the third one. That's why it's like, just to bring him back and kill him again in the sequel. I'll get off that soapbox. But
no, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, what makes Vader so great? What makes a villain so great is not that they're dominating every scene in a film or a series. It's that they have greater impact whenever they're there, right? Man, he's the Michael Myers, right? He's around the corner. He's following you no matter where you go. He's just kind of ever present in Star Wars, and you don't need to see him to get that feeling.
Yeah. Commander Bly. This is my opinion. And
Stu John.
Stu John. It's also Tarantino didn't show you what was it exactly. But Commander Bly, I wish they would have left Boba Fett alone. Yeah. The end of Mandalorian season 2, when we had the end credit scene, and Boba Fett comes in and blasts Bib Fortuna and sits there, and Fennec Shan leans there, grabs the drink, and it just rolls credits. I was good with that. I mean, just the notion of Boba Fett took over Jabba the Hutt's criminal empire. That's all I need. And then if Mando called for help, Boba could have helped him in that whole sequence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole rank coming in. Wouldn't it be awesome if we knew nothing? And then at the end of Boba, or like we take that ending of Boba Fett and put it into Mandalorian, and then all of a sudden Boba just shows up on a Rancor without us ever knowing that.
Yeah.
Like how much of more of a badass Boba Fett would have been, and be like, you would have sold 40,000 Rancors. Hands
Hands down.
You know what I mean? I mean,
down.
less is definitely more in some aspects. And it could be what Disney is doing now, right? I mean, they are withdrawing a lot, and they threw a lot to the board. I mean, Rangers, Rogue Squadron, Lando, they threw a lot of these things to the board, and maybe that it was time for them to say, you know what, guys, maybe quality over quantity, which we all would, I think, agree on. You know, we live in it's funny that we don't need new content to do a Star Wars podcast. We could do a Star Wars podcast on Star Wars all the time.
The original trilogy.
New content new content absolutely helps and everything, you know, but we putting it in its lore and its timeline and everything is what we're doing, you know. And a lot of times we have books and comics to do that too. But I'm hoping that 2026 is a turnaround year for quality, you know, because again, I even though Skeleton Crew was awesome, even though I love Andor, you know, there's just a little bit of not perfect in Star Wars. It's always like teetering on the edge of like, this is amazing. And then Boba Fett takes his helmet off. And then it's like this. And then Reva gets stabbed or stabs the Inquisitor in her stomach. And the Inquisitor just comes back as like, oh, hate is most powerful.
Hey, you do a very good impersonation of him, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, come on, let's just bring the Emperor back to kill him again. Oh, there's my soapbox again. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do.
You know.
Yeah. So, what is?
I don't know. Yeah, no.
Star Wars.
Commander Blind knows. We start 77.
Stop it.
We got Teddy Belcher. My ass, but I don't know what that's referring to. Maybe the Star Wars 77. Cool, we'll see.
Yeah,
but
maybe his ass has a special edition we don't know of.
Yeah, no one watched already. I would love a Tarantino directed Mace Windu movie. Yeah, I mean that would be the one. But unfortunately, Tarantino's next film is going to be his last film ever. That's it.
Did you see, speaking of the Mace Windu movie right there, did you see the little animation that was kind of making the rounds a couple weeks ago where it was Star Wars Heir to the Empire, and it showed Thrawn, and it had somebody doing a relatively decent version of Thrawn's voice. They land on Tantus, and instead of encountering Jorah Syaboth, it's Mace Windu, and he's just tore up.
Got the scar, missing an eye.
Yeah, this is a great bit of animation that if you can find it out there, I recommend it. It was kind of fun. So Cypher Diaz.
Cypher Diaz looked like a bitch. Yeah. I do hope though, like when we're talking about like the Underground series and some aspects and some the plugging in those certain things, right? And instead of a live action, instead of, you know, really fleshing out the, like, you know, characters that kind of waters them down, doesn't really, so far I haven't seen, besides Ahsoka, do something buddy justice, you know. I think that's where the Tales of comes in. Like, you can actually take some of those Tales of the Underworld. Wouldn't that be an amazing Easter egg and a great content for us if we got Tales of the Underworld? And it is aspects of George Lucas's scripts that he wrote, and it could follow in a Tales version of those stories.
Yeah,
you know,
that could be. I'm in.
I think they're sitting on a. I honestly think Disney has a drawer full of stuff. I mean, look at, you know, the amount of ideas that he had and the amount of world building that he did. It didn't just stop at scripts and there. I mean, it was like this whole thing, you know, like. The reason why he did 4, 5, and 6 is because it was the most exciting in his script that he wrote to bring to the table.
So here's a question: Is there a point where Disney and the current Disney Lucasfilm looks at the slate of what they have already done and the reception of, you know, some of it, like The Mandalorian and Rogue One and Rebels, were just excellent. The Force Awakens, it was fun, right?
Yeah.
Ahsoka seasons 1 and 2, those were great.
Yeah.
Is there a point though where they look at it and they look at the things that haven't quite worked and think, okay, let's reach into this drawer over here and see what we've got and see if we can adapt it to fit this new canon, right? Is there a point where they do that? I think it would be a kind of a win-win situation, because then you even have that George Lucas byline that could be right there as well, right?
Right.
conceived and written by George or whatever.
I know that the fandom would go ape if it was if a series or a movie came out and says this is basically a George Lucas script, revised to today's standards, and he actually signed off on it, meaning he did an interview, said, "Yeah, that's my movie. I helped him out or whatever." I think, you know what? It is funny. Here's the thing, right? Let's take Kenobi as is, as is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was in there from Reva to the Inquisitors, everything, and we had written, not directed, but written by George Lucas, all of it. Would it impact different? Are we of me, and I'm like kind of putting myself in this, am I blinded by some of the criticism I have for that series alone? And it's not the actress, it was just her role, her absolute, like, I didn't understand what was going on. And if George Lucas did it, would I be like, would I be more forgiving because it had his name on it?
I know I wouldn't, because I am also of the mind where okay, so you said George Lucas wrote it or directed it?
Not directed, both? Just wrote it.
Not directed.
Right. Just had the hand in the creation.
Written by, I could be a little more forgiving of it, but that's a weird because thing to put out there. I don't know, because Reva's quiet moments were pretty good. I mean, Reva's subtlety was great. Her over the top crazy acting, that's where she kind of lost me at times in the effects. I don't think George Lucas would have allowed Kenobi to see the light of day with the effects where they were. Right? I mean, he had that 100%. Kind of control. Yeah, he had that kind of control where he would want it to look impeccable before it went out.
Yeah.
I think it would definitely be a different beast, but man, just taking it as written by him, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can play that game.
Well, you know how the fandom does kind of veer to the left and right, a lot of things like Boba Fett, some love, some hate. Andor is well received. Mandalorian is well received, but Mando season 3 isn't. You know what I mean? Like Ahsoka has a give and take.
One episode.
And they lump it all into that
for some reason.
Yeah, they just lump it all into one. It's like, it was horrible. But like, if this was still a Lucas era, but even under maybe even if it was Disney umbrella, I'm just wondering, because I'm like I know, people, we all look through Star Wars under rose-colored glasses when it comes to George Lucas, right? Like, George Lucas would have done this, you wouldn't have done. But what you know what I mean? Like I said, the prequels are very questionable on a lot of choices and a lot of decisions, and like I would mention earlier about the slapstick comedy and the seriousness went kind of out of that. It was
it's Stu John here saying Reva's motivations made no sense.
That's my problem with it. Yeah,
you are correct.
Yeah.
However, I cannot, after watching the prequels, don't shoot me, I can honestly say after watching the prequels that a lot of motivations in the prequels were a little sus, as the kids these days say. It's there was some stuff in there that just, I'm like, really? Okay. All right. But well, I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say.
We know from past that Mr. Solo here is not a gigantic fan of the prequel trilogy. There's some aspects of it I really enjoy. There's some that I do not. And I put all of that square on the shoulders of George Lucas, because he had complete control over that. Whereas in the original trilogy, he wrote the treatments, he wrote some of the script, he gave the story to other people, they fleshed out the script, he gave it to other directors to see their version of his vision. And what we had was pretty much perfection.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah. That's the dangers of creating a world and then giving it to the world to create more. If that makes sense. It does. George, he obviously had a different vision of where the sequels went and everything. And would he have made 7, 8, and 9 with full control like he did with the prequels, or would he have just been an executive producer and gave it over for a visionary to bring it to life, which I think works better in his world?
I think so too. I think that he is an amazing idea man. He just has troubles with the scripts, and he has trouble letting go. He has trouble letting other people take that vision. I know after reading books and books about him and his process, seeing that he actually had arguments with Irvin Kershner about the way
Right.
scenes played out and Empire Strikes Back, and it's like, oh no, you don't.
Yeah. And
Wow.
Irvin Kershner actually argued for what we got in there, and we, like you said, perfection.
Yeah.
know?
So I give him mad props for being an incredible idea man and a
Yeah.
visionary.
Yeah.
But he does need, that's why I always call Rick McCallum the yes man, because Rick McCallum just did anything as a producer. A producer's role is to rein in, and Dr. Brantley can probably speak to this better than I can.
Yeah.
My understanding of a producer is that it's their job to rein people in, to rein the directors in a little bit, to make sure the money's going in the right directions, to make sure things stay on course. And he was more of a, whatever you want, George, I'm just here to get you the money and give it to you to do whatever you want to do. He had no oversight, essentially. And
I don't know if that
wacky.
I don't know if that would have been his role to say, George, that's over the top, or what you did in this. You know what I mean? I don't think he's looking at the end result being like, audiences are going to cringe at this moment. And it's not his role. And that's why I honestly think like sometimes a writer, script writer, and then a producer, not executive producer or executive that he would have been, George Lucas, and a different director, director would get this vision across it. But maybe you got too much vested into your own work that you're blinded to be like, Jar Jar was a little bit over the top and really was a turnoff. The love scenes, there's like zero chemistry. You got these Oscar winner actors, and you could not get good performances out of any of them. Choices like that.
Anakin and Padme had a negative number of, if on a scale of 1 to 10 in the chemistry department, they were a negative 11. They had no chemistry together. And you're right.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. Fun fact: Padme's S&M outfit was the only one designed by George. Like, I'm telling you, he's got a.
Don't need to, man. I know. So, and this isn't just a. I don't want this to come across as just a shitting on the.
No, it's not
the
because
prequels either.
It's not because here's the thing, right? And Commander Bly made a point. I'll bring up here, and this is where. So Commander Bly says they're definitely finally looking into the mirror and doing some soul searching. And that's where I think this conversation is going. That's where I think next year is going to be a different feel. And it's probably going to start with this, what we're having this year. Andor is going to set a tone. And I mentioned this a few podcasts back where it's almost like the Attitude Era. It's going to be like, look, maybe we're going to get some heavy hitters in this, and we don't all have to be, musicals, and we don't all have to be, as far as like the funness of Star Wars. Star Wars is not always fun. There is the fun part of good triumphing evil. And if you make it a comedy all the way, not so much, it just loses some impact, loses heart, it loses a lot of that. So the soul searching that I see is going to be that, like that they said, that quality stuff. It's like, we're really going to look at this and analyze if we have a time frame of this Mandalorian verse that we've made up as we're going along, and now we have Ahsoka season 2, and now we have this Mando Grogu movie, and there's some plans for maybe a Mando 4 and all that stuff, and wrap it up with the Filoni movie. That's a great opportunity to take a step back a little bit and just kind of put some good storytelling out there versus Disney Plus is a huge juggernaut. It's got to pay bills. And that's something almost they backed itself in the corner with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to hit Dr. Brantley's comment right here. Dr. Brantley says, I actually have a Rick McCallum story. The company I worked for did the episode 2 DVD extras. I will just say he was not a yes man. He told George what he thought. George just didn't listen.
Okay. Yeah. George Lucas is footing the bill.
All right. I stand corrected, man.
Yeah. He just get it done. Well, good insight, Doctor. Thank you for that.
That is, but if anything, that also gives me the temperament to know that I don't think Underworld would have been this epic thing that we all think it could have been, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It might have been, again, how much control did he exert over everything? Was he directing these episodes? I see the name Ron D. Moore and I'm excited. I see the name, I see some of the ideas that were out there and I'm excited, but then I see George Lucas in control and I'm like, I have to rein in that excitement a little bit.
Yeah.
Because again, great idea, man, but he needs to temper those ideas with some thought.
Joey checking in. It's okay, man. You're late. It's cool. It's all good. Just as long as you're here.
That's right.
Yeah, that's that again. I'm with you. I think a lot of people are here with the fact that we've watched so many documentaries, we've read so many books, and it's always on. I mean, we really kind of gravitate to George Lucas's point of view on a lot of things. And when Disney bought Star Wars from him, there was that thing. The very first thing people read was he also handed a script for 7, 8, and 9, and Kathleen Kennedy basically said, we're going to do our own, thank you, but we're going to do our own thing. And that already, I mean, being Star Wars fanboys, being George, whatever it was already like, what? You did this, what? To the maker? But not really, like I said, not really understanding of the turmoil that we went through with the prequels. I mean, there's a documentary called The People versus George Lucas. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember vividly a lot of backlash on the prequels era. You know what I mean? And I wasn't one of them. The prequels absolutely grew on me. I did not fist pump out of every one of them. It was one of those things, but understanding, like I said, what was on paper versus what the visuals were, the paper and visuals didn't add up, but what we got on paper was excellent. It was very, very good, I think.
I was one of those that I did not enjoy them. I mean, The Phantom Menace, it had its moments. Attack of the Clones had a couple moments. Revenge of the Sith had some moments, but as a whole, I was not a huge fan. And it all comes down to, it's not the idea, it was the execution.
Right? Yeah. That's what I mean. The visuals versus paper, on paper, they're really good. Yeah,
the visuals and the acting he was able to draw out of the actors. It didn't work. And you even said that a little while ago. That was what that's what made me not care for them, right? And over time it's gotten better, but I still I watch it and I'm like, oh God, why are the Clone Wars cartoons so much better? Why?
And that's a Lucas era. It's just,
it is
because
it's also handing over the reins and letting people. Letting the directors direct, right?
Yeah, I think there's, sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle, man. Sometimes, again, Rogue One was lightning in a bottle. Mandalorian was lightning in a bottle, and so was Clone Wars. It was these pet projects that just took fire, Commander Bly, I thought it was Iger that nixed Uncle George's screenplays. As far as I know, it was Kathleen Kennedy that when she took over, and because it was the thing where I'm selling this to Disney and the CEO is going to be Kathleen Kennedy. She's running Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
And as he handed everything over, I mean, this again, that it could be a mixture of both. Maybe Iger is involved. I don't know if Iger has that, like, why would he say no? Kathleen would be the person to really, because she's the movie person. She's the movie visionary on that. Iger is just the company guy.
Real quick, Stu John says we have no source material, which that's one of the that's one of the stupidest comments to come out of it, because they had tons of source material. It's just it all boils down to they didn't want to make a movie without Chewbacca, so they threw out years and years.
Right off the gate,
we could have edited.
Right off the gate, it was like, we have no source material. Thank you, George. No, like I said, even if it was Disney or whatever, thank you, but no, thank you. We're just gonna take Star Wars and run with it. They stumbled out of the gate, and they said some very. They came out defensive, like it
was a bad move.
They stumbled out of the gate. They came out defensive. Where I would really love, like, it would have been cool to make the announcement and then have a gradual, like, turning on the Star Wars content instead of like, and it's like
all at once
happened, and I maybe it just didn't give people time, but we are in the reset phase right now. A reset phase. Again, Star Wars goes through a few, we have content, but it's not, like I said, it's not the household name world building content where every billboard is going to be Grogu. You know what I mean? Like the times of the prequels, the times of the sequels, even the marketing of Force Awakens was absolutely huge. That's a Star Wars feel. And I do feel it's going to get to a level, maybe not at that level ever again, but to a level where you're going to, where it'll be around us again. You know what I mean? It'll be a good thing. So
You think we'll get another Force Friday like we used to do, or
no, toys. I think merchandise and toys is really retracted.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I fear that those days are lost, and we have to make our own content when that comes. Before I think with any toy, I don't think we'll ever get a phenomenon toy drive like Star Wars ever did, even with the back in 1999. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
It sucks because Gavin, it was a thing. It was Gavin, certainly a thing.
He wants special edition prequels, reshoot the battle scenes with real troopers, and so
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I would love a special edition sequels. I would like.
Those could use a little help.
Like I said, what helps me with the prequels is, in my mind, I know like it's a powerful story, and with that, if you can, back in the day, when I was really reading comics, Exo Man of War is a comic, but I'm just gonna use this as an analogy. Exo Man of War was a amazing story, but the artwork was not good, and it was very hard to get through the book visually. But I was so intrigued on the storyline that I overlooked some of those things, and that's how I feel with the prequels. Until it's almost like every movie got a little bit better in a way where if he had 7 more movies, I think he would have got back to like this one is good. Or as far as like this is the visuals that match up to. I think it was like way too much. All the time, and he was reinventing the wheel as he went. They didn't know how to do Yoda. They didn't know how to do the big epic droid versus Gungan battle scene. They didn't know how the computers they had to make these computers. But again, that harkens back to actually making Star Wars, where they had to make those rigs for the motion capture or the all the ILM had to make all of those things. They had to program things. They had to make the cameras that shoot. You know what I mean? So Lucas is great on that, inventing the way of like, you don't know how to do it, invent it. Here's some money. Here's some time. By the way, we're out of time and money.
I like your analogy though about Exo Man of War, because in DC Comics we had the same thing. We had Dr. Fate, and Dr. Fate was an incredible story with the worst artwork on the planet.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it was it wasn't live action, so I didn't have to see them read the words off the script instead of actually acting and emoting. Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. I can forgive a lot. If the story is good, I can forgive a lot. But if the story is, if it's not shown in a way where you can actually see emotion, and I mean, I will give Hayden Christensen this. Hayden Christensen in those prequel movies, he can cry at the drop of a dime. I mean, boom, tears. I'm like, bravo, dude, bravo.
Yeah.
But in seeing him in other things, I know he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman's an Oscar winner.
Like I said, Oscar winners, they could not get a line that actually had some emotion behind it. And
the only one that could was Ewan McGregor, because he decided to direct himself. And
I even feel like he was wooden at times. Honestly, at times.
It wasn't the Revenge of the Sith. And Revenge of the Sith is whenever he knocked it out.
I honestly, it could be just like everybody was so overwhelmed to be on a set of a Star Wars. This is a new era of Star Wars, new generation. George Lucas, we're doing 1, 2, and 3. And it was a production that was just too big it was just too much, where if you're under the gun, you're under pressure and no one believes in you, that's when you do your best work sometimes, when everybody says that you can't do it, and that pushes you to do something, or not saying that, no, you can't, but like, this is going to fail. You suck. That's when you do your best work in life. That's the motivation. And that's what he was told during the Star Wars, when the film crew would walk off because it was 5:00 and he couldn't, it was your union, and everybody was laughing behind his back, and it turned out the way it did. That's what made Star Wars so special. And so anything now, it's like there's a difference now. It's like the movie studios will blame us for not liking it instead of themselves, where Lucas almost had a heart attack.
Putting the blame where
exactly. Oh well. But anyway, what could have, should have been, and I think that's always great to revisit sometimes when a lost script, like one day we will get the lost script of George Lucas's 7, 8, 9, or treatment of 7, right? And it'll be like, I mean, we kind of knew exactly where he wanted to go, but and
Which
maybe
was weird.
it was a weird thing, but maybe seeing it played out, it would have made more. I don't know with, like I said, you take today's technology and everything and you put an old head in charge of it, what would come out of it, because
Yeah.
yeah.
No one watches already. The prequels were destined to fail, as those who grew up with Star Wars were adults and spent years imagining their own versions and read the extended universe.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes. However, we also had 3 movies where the acting was pretty damn good.
Well,
not great all the time, but pretty damn good.
Perfect example, and then we'll wrap it up here, is Boba Fett in the prequels. I was like, I came out of going that he's a clone. They're all like, it just was like, it ruined my world for Boba Fett, because what he said, I had this character built up, less is more. It wasn't my favorite character. It was just a really cool character. And we grew up with that, the toys, everything. And then to see that, he was actually part of this, Jango Fett in the clone. He's a clone. So he's not an individual. Like, it just doesn't, still to me, I have a hard time doing that. It made the world so much smaller, and I don't like it.
But in a weird way, the original idea behind Boba Fett was he was the last remaining super soldier, enemy of the Jedi from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, in a way, he did that. He made them clones who eventually turned on the Jedi,
right,
and became their enemies.
Yeah.
So I guess,
and that's why I feel like some of those scripts, those 60 scripts, are in the Star Wars stuff that we've seen. I think some of those aspects we have seen. It's just that we don't have anybody really signing off on them. Like I did that, I said that. So yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Commander, again, it went back to the true nature of a kid's film, but hey,
we've come full circle.
We've come full circle. We're all here for it. Until we do this again next week, I want to thank everybody in the pit. You guys you're always amazing. I mean, this is, like I said, one big podcast where we feed off each other and stuff. And of course, we're going to do this all over again next week. Mm-hmm. We've got the last off again. When we go dark here, the last person to leave a comment will get a notch in the belt of our prize. We'll send that out at our episode 300, one of our flagships. And there it is. And, Bly, Bly's paid for like 5 of those, so.
Why if Bly's paid for 5 of them, why does he only have 1? My
math
is
you hate him.
Wrong.
Because
I know,
you
right?
hate him.
He called me a fake fan.
No one watches already. Always a pleasure to hang with you. Hopefully I can a little more regularly. You know what? Thank you so much. And if you can't, replay is great. We're always in the comments. We're always interacting. So if you're in the replay, leave a comment and we'll keep it going. Bly, there it is. Put a notch in there. Bly paid for the last. Thank you so much, Commander Bly. He's gonna do it. He's gonna win it somehow.
Oh my god. I know, right?
Steve John is ready. It's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum and all out of bubblegum. I love it. They Live is one of my favorite movies.
It's a great movie.
I love it.
It's so ridiculous. I love it.
Just to remind everybody, in our link or in the description, there's some links there that you might want to follow and check out. There's the Shadow Nose Network, which was all over our pit tonight. And they drop content on Wednesdays and Fridays, with actually content all the time sprinkled in. Check them out. Shadow Nose Network.
I don't think those guys have lives. They're just podcasting.
They're dedicated.
Incredible.
Dedicated. Just like Blitz Transmissions. Tommy is a growing channel for Star Wars content, toy content. You got it. He's one of our toy chess hosts and everything, so we wanted to spread it out. This is a great network that we all belong to. Links are in the description below. Check it out. Of course, we will be back next Monday with a toy chest, and we've got CollectorCon tomorrow for Walmart, and we'll see what's happening with Star Wars. We kind of went over some of it, but this is another FOMO grab at 7 a.m. for us on the West Coast. So I'm thrilled. I love it. I love the FOMO. Just love, that's why I was like, you know what? can we be done with collecting at this point? But no, we can't.
Guarantee you I will order nothing tomorrow, which is so liberating.
Crystal ball, you're not getting crystal ball. Commander Blythe, Blitz sucks.
Wow.
But
hey, if he can call me a fake fan, I guess he could say his own kid sucks. So
all right, guys. Well, again, we'll do this again next week. I do want to remind everybody that May 4th is coming up. It's rapidly approaching. If you're in our area and you want to hang out and do some trivia, we have some amazing prizes. You dress up as encouraged. Better Days, formerly of the Social, up in the high desert here in Apple Valley, are hosting. They're great. We met with them. They're excited, and it's going to be a packed house. So get there early, live music, awesome drinks, and of course
themed drinks.
Everything. It's Star Wars. You know, that's what we really had to push. It's like, this is Star Wars. This is our day. It's our holiday. So, and if you're not in our area and stuff, do something. You know, why don't watch the movies? Watch the special editions. I don't know, or just watch Revenge of the Sith since it's the anniversary.
Oh my God, 20 years. Wow.
Yeah.
We will be live casting there too. I'm going to figure out a way to
make sure we are
live broadcasting from there, so you can join us from the comfort of your own home and take part in some way, shape, or form in the festivities.
Yeah. I think we're done. If anybody is interested into action figure stands and 3D printing in general, head over to the Tashi Station Emporium YouTube channel. Link in the description below. Where our pit droid is coming to life. We had our contest. We have our winner. Now it's on to the painting theme, and I'm hoping that it'll definitely be before 300. It'll be sitting right here, and we will have a new member to the Starlight Digest, which is our mascot. Maybe we'll leave it up to the pit to write the backstory too, just like they chose the painting scheme.
Let's do Mad Libs. We could do Mad Libs for it.
That's right.
Star Wars Mad Libs.
Adjectives week. Pick a noun, pick a number. Like
there we go. That's it.
It all ends up with us beating up Palemoto and taking the pitch weight. Okay, with that, I think we are done. Again, thank you so much. Let the last off commence. With that, Scott.
Keep it nerdy, everybody. Last off.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.